What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Morbid Files. I'm your host, Texxx, and tonight I have a special guest. I have the one, the only, Joey Click, editor of 1428M. Joey, what's up, man?
Going on? Nice to be on the show. That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. Thank you for coming. How are you?
Pretty good, and can't complain. You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah.
Living in southern Indiana, so it's finally a little chilly down here. Finally get some, not sweating at 3 o'clock in the morning, so that's
right,
great.
Right. Well, you're not having to deal with no hurricanes and all that right now. So.
Oh, well, yeah, and that, I can't complain if we're talking about that. No doubt there.
Yeah.
Got to send prayers that way, because it's got to be some really crazy things to deal with.
Yeah, I'm in South Carolina, so but I'm on the upper end. I'm not, close to it. So we're kind of feeling the after effects of it,
Right.
rain and everything. So, but nothing terrible. So yeah, man. Well, Joey, if you don't mind, man, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from and stuff.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm Joey Click, like you said, and yeah, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Born and raised, actually. I'm living in southern Indiana right now. Moved over here with my mom in 2007. I was younger then, and situations have you. Now I've kind of just stayed over here, which is great. Editor of 1428M. I've been a journalist for a very long time. I've only been the editor of 1428M since April of this year. But with my co-editor Jeremy Dick, we've really turned the site around. So yeah, I've been doing that. Lifelong horror fan. Love Breaking Bad. Love horror movies, and that's kind of me.
Heck yeah, man. How long have you been into journalism, or how did you get into that? Involved in that?
Man, forever. Yeah. I can remember. I had a class in 6th grade where you would have to design a cover of something and then write a little story with it. And it was around. I was probably, it was maybe 99 around then. Right. And I've lost this story, but I dating all the way back to the 6th grade, I would, I drew a picture of, Michael Myers' mask, and the story was Josh Hartnett was marrying my sister, and it was right after, Halloween H2O. Yeah, so I've basically been in journalism for a long time. When I got serious into it, that was about, I wrote for on IGN, right?
Yeah.
2006, 2007, they had whenever horror was really big, when Saw was kind of destroying, I won't say destroying, but taking over the country, right?
Right.
A win for one horror movie is a win for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wrote for them for a little while. Of course, this was unpaid. I sent them a review of Hard Candy, the David Slade, Hard Candy, which is great. So I wrote for them for a while. Then I'd write for some college papers. You know what I'm saying? I'd do stuff on my own. And then eventually, my buddy got me the job at 1428M, and things took off from there.
Nice, man. Yeah, a lot of times when it comes to journalism, you see a lot of people though they don't. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a dying breed because a lot of people don't take the time to really study. They just maybe read something off the internet and then they just go off on it and say, okay, this is facts.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I remember whenever the Dark Knight 3, not really 3, but the third movie in the Dark Knight trilogy was coming out.
Yeah.
Or before it was coming out, and you'd hear so many people say hey, did you hear Johnny Depp was going to be the Riddler? I'm like, dude, you hear that from a guy at the gas station?
Right.
With technology the way it is, and everybody's got a Facebook and a Twitter, and it's hard to believe. You have to do your homework to find the facts, and my job is to do my homework. You know what I'm saying? I want to do my homework so I can give my readers the best. You like this love? My readers.
Definitely.
right.
Definitely.
I just brought this out of the box recently. I was like, man, I gotta bring this on the show.
Hell yeah, man.
I want to bring people good information so they can actually know the facts. So when movies come out, man, we can all enjoy them together.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember even seeing the thing on Facebook with Johnny Depp being the Riddler. Everybody posting it. It kind of goes along with all these death hoax that people post. Of celebrities dying every day. And it's like you would think people would have common sense to know, okay, this is not real, but they keep sharing away. A bunch of this.
You got to, like anything in life, you have to check your sources. You know what I'm saying? Make sure where it's coming from. So just because somebody says it, everybody has the ability to speak, but not everybody has the knowledge to speak correctly in the terms of, what they know what they're speaking. So Yeah. I mean, I believe that journalism is dying, but I also believe that true journalism will never die.
Right.
You know, and there will always be an audience for real information. You know what I'm saying, and real interviews with, you know what I'm saying, your the biggest people in any area. If you're a sports fan or you're a horror fan or whatever, there's always going to be that room to dive into the topics and to bring people the information that they really want.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Totally agree. Now, talking about horror films and stuff, how did you get into horror? I mean, was it like a young age, or how did it?
Yeah. I can remember, man. Like I always consider the day that I watched when I was 9 years old and I watched the original, like John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, USA used to always do like a double feature, and they played, you know, Halloween. They played, you know, the original and then Rick Rosenthal's sequel, like back to back. Right. And I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah. So before that, I'll get back to that. But before that, I would be, you know, 4 or 5 years old. My dad, you know, my parents were pretty liberal. You know what I'm saying? I come from a very I mean, I don't want to say a family of problems. How about that? You know what I mean? So my family never really cared about what I watched on TV.
Right.
But I remember like falling asleep in the living room and watching episodes of Tales from the Crypt, and that one shot whenever it would go, it was so terrifying. Now it's goofy, but whenever you watched it then when you were a kid, the creeper, it was just the most terrifying thing of all time. I remember waking up seeing Texxx back in the day. My uncle would show me, the Friday the 13th movies, which I'm still a massive fan of. Yeah. But to go back to, the day that I watched Halloween and Halloween 2 when I was 9 years old, that's the day that me and horror fell in love. You know, that was the day that I was connected with horror in a way that I've never not been connected with it since. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people have that with Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, which I'm a huge fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, of course.
No doubt.
But my first horror film that I remember seeing and that kind of got me into it was Night of the Living Dead, the original, black and white. And my aunt or someone was watching it, or she had the VHS or something, and I remember watching it. I remember it freaked me out, of course, and, scared me to death. But ever since then, I just fell in love, and then there came Freddy, Jason, Michael, so it was all downhill from there.
It's really awesome to see that movie on VHS too. Like, the way Blu-ray cleans stuff up, like you see that kind of medium. It's that kind of that venue rather. It's just it makes it more. It helps you detach it from reality more. Right. And in a weird way, even though the story's about real life stuff, in a sense. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely cool that you saw it, on a VHS. That's the preferred way. Right. If you're not going to watch the theater.
Speaking of Tales from the Crypt, I just bought season 1 and 2 because I remember at a young age watching them, and I was like you, scared to death of the crypt and everything. And then we turned it on, and I was like, man, this is fucking goofy.
Yeah.
A lot of it,
yeah.
How in the heck was I scared of this,
Something about performance, right? Like some kid, you're like that. I would do it. I'll do the chores. I will do the dishes. Please don't put that show on whenever you're a kid, right?
Right.
Yeah, but now it's kind of, you can tell, especially when now you're on the back, you see behind the scenes in horror. Yeah. Like, oh, it's just a puppet in some dude's voice.
Right.
No doubt.
But I mean, it's still definitely a classic, though, TV show.
Absolutely.
Within a horror film,
Ahead of its time, really.
Now, we were talking about you were 9 years old when you saw Halloween. Was that the first horror film that you ever saw?
Well, no, like I was saying, like I had seen the Tales from the Crypt when I was about 6 or 7. Okay. I'd seen Texxx. Yeah, I'd seen Texxx. I woke up, and if you ever seen Texxx, I mean, it's got Quinn Howard, Ron Howard's brothers in it, and the scene whenever it's like going through his body, and like you see on his face, and it's completely terrifying. Yeah. And I've seen some of the every Friday the 13th, especially back then before you had like Netflix and like cable was the king. Right. Like they had Friday the 13th marathons like crazy. So my uncle would show me like, hey, you want to, and not that my parents really cared, but he'd be like, hey, you want to watch these movies? I'm like, I'm 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever. You're my right? Right. But yeah, whenever I was 9 years old, that's when it went to another level where I can't believe that a few images and some music can make me feel this way. Right. Because John Carpenter's, his 1978 classic has always been my favorite movie and always will be.
Right. Yeah.
What he's able to do with that budget,
Yeah. I mean, no matter who you are within the horror, genre, you have to respect John Carpenter and the original Halloween. I mean, I don't care who you are,
80, you get rid of that movie, 60%, 80% of 80s horror is gone in an instant. Yeah, without a doubt.
No, with me being a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, that was pretty much what did it for me. Aside from Night of the Living Dead, where it kind of got me interested in scary movies and horror films and stuff. But I just remember watching Freddy, man, and I mean, it just totally scared the heck out of me.
No doubt.
I mean, because I've told this story before, with Michael and Jason, in my mind as a young kid, I would, think, okay, I could get away from these guys. I can move far away, they'll never find me. But Freddy, no matter what you do, you've got to go to sleep eventually, and he's going to freaking get you.
Right.
That terrified me as a kid.
Part of the genius of a script.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Definitely. So, now 1428M, how did you get involved with being an editor and everything? How did that come to be?
It's kind of, I'll tie it back to whenever I told you I originally wrote stories and had that picture of, my sister being married to Josh Hartnett from H2O. Yeah. I read a lifelong buddy of mine, Billy Cripps, who still writes for the website. Okay. And he had been writing from the site for, I think it only had been started maybe 8 or 9 months since before I got put on. But he started writing a few months after it started. And, we still always keep in contact, even though I don't see him very often. We're always on Facebook or whatever. And like, hey, you're a journalist and you love horror, come write for us. And, I said, why not? So I filled the application out. And, it was a pretty easy process. I got on, proved myself, worked my way up from there. Right. Like I said, I take journalism and horror very seriously. So.
Right. Do you find that there's a lot of competition within the realm, I guess, for being a journalist for horror? Yeah. Yeah.
And interesting that you say that. I recently started. Completely free because they don't have any paid positions open. But I recently started contributing to Dread Central. In my free time, not really my free time, but I make free time for that because if you want something in life, you got to go for it. Definitely. Nobody's ever gonna knock on your door, so you got to go grab it. So writing. I've been writing lists for them. And, stuff like that. Especially off the backdrop of everybody's got a blog, everybody's got their opinion. Journalists, it's harder to be a serious journalist. It's for the, off top, it's hard to convince people that we're not just an Elm Street website, which we love Elm Street. Very much.
Yeah.
We have an interview with Ricky Dean Logan from, Freddy's Dead set up very soon. We're always going to say we had an interview with Amanda Weiss in the last week or so, the last 2 weeks. We love Freddy, but we love all horror. We're all a family, and we all love very different aspects.
Right.
But we have Bloody Disgusting, we have Dread Central, iHorror. There's a lot of different websites out there, and I like to think that we separate ourselves from those people or those companies. Even though obviously I'm contributing to Dread Central, I'm not saying that they're bad. I aspire to be them. I want to be part of what they're doing because they do very good journalism. But the difference, we don't just report different news that they have. We have Phantasm Week right now. We're reviewing Phantasm movies for, because Ravager just came out.
Right.
The review just came today, which is really cool. And we like to try to be an alternative. How about that? Yeah. How about, if you're not going to listen to the main hits on the radio, then maybe, maybe the underdog or, the underground band may have some tunes that you may like to listen to. And we welcome everybody. We want everybody to come to the site and celebrate horror because that's what we do it for.
Right, yeah. I think, I know it was the first time that I ever heard about you was through, because I had Deandra Laser on here, the new Nancy from the fan film Don't Fall Asleep, which is a tremendous individual. I love her to death. And
I watched that interview.
Right, and
it was good.
She posted a video of you doing a review on the movie.
Nice.
And that's the first time I ever heard about you, and I was like, man, this guy is fucking, he has a lot of charisma. So after that, I started watching your videos, and I was like, heck yeah, man. I was like, this dude, you can tell that you're passionate about what you do, and I think that speaks volumes, and that's very important within the horror, genre, and being a journalist.
we had previous editors. Now it's me and Jeremy right now, Jeremy Dick. And we had previous editors that, I mean, kind of like the way studios work. Where you can have a film that is directed, even direction, but you can have people that shepherd a certain project that don't love it. And you tell that they don't love it because the love is on the screen. Mm-hmm. So me and Jeremy, we absolutely love horror. We take our job very seriously. We don't even look at it as a job. We're very grateful that we even get paid in what we do. Excuse me, to do what we do because we love the genre so much. And I recently only started that YouTube page at the beginning of September at Days of the Dead. I started it right before Days of the Dead, which it's almost serendipitous, right? Like it's insane how that worked out. So I really appreciate you saying that the passion of horror comes out of my videos, man. I really do like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And I mean, because this is a new channel, the Morbid Files,
right.
And we're growing. But I'm very cautious of who I let on the show, and I don't say that to sound like a dick, but I take it very seriously.
I'm glad to be on
and when I saw you, man, and I did my research and watched a lot of your other stuff, I was like, yeah, I mean, he's definitely the real deal. So definitely respect, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like I'm from here, I don't really where some people have a lot of editing equipment. I'm doing 1 or 2 takes. The Stranger Things video took a few other takes.
Right.
I'll be honest, the video to get people ready for Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 took a few takes because I'm reading the book.
Right.
But for the most part, like I'm doing it very cheap. But I'm hoping, like you said, that my personality, my charisma will help sell this, and people will just want to watch more. They want to, they'll come to the website and they'll read our reviews. And it's not about being monetarily successful. It's about enjoying life while we have it. And we all love work, and that's exactly what we want to do.
Totally agree, man. Now, you mentioned Scarefest, and I watched a lot of your videos that you're making during Scarefest, and one of the panels you ran with some of the actors from Scream, the original, which I watched the whole thing. I remember me and my girlfriend watched the whole thing.
And sorry,
how was the experience, man? I mean, how was that?
The Scream panel, man. Yeah. Wow, no, yeah, absolutely. More to that point. I've been having, for some reason, like the OneDrive on the old laptop, even on my desktop, it's not letting me upload videos or files that are kind of big. So the one that you guys watched it's an SD. It's very choppy. I had to go through Facebook and upload it on there, and then go through the panels. And I did about 6 panels at Scarefest, and I've only got 2 of them that are HD quality, and that's the game. That's the Friday the 13th the game, and Friday the 13th the Legends panel. So very soon, if you want to spend your time and watch it a little clearly, I'm going to be uploading all of them in SD. I just got to chop them up on my phone and then upload them. It takes a long time, but regardless, I want to do it because if people watch it and they love it, that's what I want to do. But specifically, to the Scream panel, man, it was surreal. Scream, that movie came out when I'm 8 or 9, and how old are you?
I'm 32, so.
Yeah, so you're a little bit older than me. You got about 2 years on me, okay? So you're probably, like 10 or 11?
Yeah.
And Scream Mania, right? I mean, Freak Mania, maybe not quite that much, but like Scream, it brought new eyes to horror, the ones that wouldn't even never consider watching horror. So to be in this panel, and you have Matthew Lillard, which obviously he's not drunk, but he's definitely enjoying his weekend, right?
Right.
And I've talked to a few journalists that were at the panel, and they were like, that's just Matthew. You know what I'm saying? Matthew's just crazy. I mean, he's not, he's just having a good time. And to have him, be next to me, and then he's there, and he's here, and then he's making fun of the fact that I'm recording him.
Yeah, he was hiding from the camera one time.
Yeah. And I'm selling the website, and I don't mean to sell it to a point where like I'm trying to take over the show.
Right.
But I just want to let him know that I'm not making a home video. Unless I want to be in everybody's home with this video. I want people to watch it. The people that love Scream. So yeah, it was super surreal, man. I mean, he never even got behind the podium.
Right.
It was one of the better experiences of my life so far. I had filmed a panel with David Arquette and Jamie Kennedy at Horror Hound Indy 2016 at the beginning of September, and to see 2 other actors from the movie, and then just to get that Matthew Lillard experience, man, it was I don't even know if words can describe how interesting it was,
Right. Yeah. The thing about Matthew, man, and about the video, he was so laid back. I mean, just so cool with the fans. You could just tell he gave a crap.
Yeah. He's and I think it's something that I share. Like, he doesn't mind being himself because he has nothing to prove to you.
Right.
He's just like, I'm just gonna be Matthew. And if you said you watched the whole panel,
yeah.
He was talking about how like sometimes his personality hinders him in acting because he can't stop adding his own goofiness to any role. Right. Which obviously that worked very, very well for for Stu. But it didn't work. Maybe it doesn't work for other roles. But yeah. I mean, I laughed a lot. And there was a guy that was not the moderator on stage, but there was a guy that was, in the crowd, giving people the mic and whatnot. And he would like run over to him and like, no, I got this. You know what I'm saying? I'll film him, or I got this. And he was, it was, awesome. He's a class act, man.
Right. Now, what was some other things you got to experience there, Scarefest?
Okay. All right. Wow. So many things. I want to go back to say. So Kim, right? Kim Gunslinger from Don't Fall Asleep, right?
Yeah.
So me and Anthony Brownlee, we were all hanging out there. They came on Saturday, and it's just to go back from the Scream thing. But even though I have a few different stories, so we're walking out of the venue and we're about to go get a hamburger, right? And she's been raving about this hamburger place. She's like, "Yeah, we gotta go get this hamburger place. We gotta get this hamburger place. It's gonna be awesome, guys." And we're walking out, and Anthony goes. Anthony looks back and turns like he thinks he's talking to me. He turns back and he goes, "There we go." He goes. So are we going to get a hamburger? But Matthew Lillard's right next to us, right? Matthew Lillard's right next to us, and he makes eye contact with Matthew Lillard, right? And I go, "Dude, do you know Matthew Lillard?" He goes, "No, man, I have no idea." So he's like, he was just there, right? And like Matthew Lillard goes to walk away, and he's like, "Hey, man, we're gonna get that hamburger," because he's that kind of guy.
Right.
But yeah, man, I got so many stories from the show. I mean, so many, nice people. I've been doing a lot of work with Harrison Smith, which is the director of Death House. I'm trying to help push this film out because, the landscape of horror movies and whatnot.
Right.
And I interviewed him, and you can find my 3-part interview at the site. I interviewed him from Days of the Dead. I mean, so they had a panel there with Felissa Rose and Kane Hodder and Sean Whalen, and that was fun. Felissa, she signed for free because I've been helping them out. Nice. And this is going to be, I got 2 quick stories for Friday the 13th fans out there that are going to freaking love this. So before the show, like Felissa and Kane are really good friends. That's she helped get Kane onto the Death House project, the Death House project, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been talking to Harrison Smith beforehand. I'm like, hey, can I get a Kane Hodder interview? That would be, not only is it like a dream come true for me, like it would be great for our site, right? So she set that up, and so she introduces me to him on Saturday, and I'm like, man, I'll come back for you another day, like tomorrow. I'll come back for you tomorrow whenever it's really chill. I come back on Saturday or Sunday, and it's about 3 o'clock. We're closing up, but there's like a circle of people around, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets out of his booth and he's walking up to people and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Kane Hodder, right? Kane. If you've seen Kane or Kane, or I don't know him, but
right.
He was in interviews. He's very much again like Matthew Lillard, like, hey, what you see is what you get. If you don't like it, I'll break your neck.
Right.
He's just like that, right?
Right.
And so he's going around the group, and he out of nowhere, I mean, like at the Freddy Claw, right? Out of nowhere, he grabs me by the shirt and goes to rev back, right? And there's somebody out of nowhere, like he doesn't even say anything, mm-hmm. right? And there's somebody next to him. He's like, "Do you ever just want to hit somebody? Not because they deserve it, because they look like they really need it, right?" And I'm like, "No, there's more to it." And he goes, and he's looking at the person. I go, "Hey, Kane, I got some sick time at work. Take your best shot." And this is the kicker. He's walking around, right? And he looks back at me. He goes, "Don't say that. Don't say that." And like really serious, as if like, "Hey, man, I will hurt you. I will hurt you if I want to. I will." And I mean, like, I'm not scared of. I mean, he kicked my ass, but regardless, like, but yeah, I wasn't nervous, but yeah, right. that was one of the greatest moments of my life. And
awesome.
And to the other story, Adrienne King, who played Alice in the original movie, right? She's like breaking down her booth. And I go over there. I'm like, "Hey, because she knows Kim and she knows Anthony. Like they're big conheads. I mean, they're always. I mean, I felt like I was walking around with like 2 Beatles because every celebrity there like knew them. It was insane. You know what I'm saying? They just like, "Hey, what's going on, girl?" Giving them hugs, all right? So I met them on Saturday, or I met her on Saturday, and on Sunday I go back to her booth and I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know that I can help you with your wine company. She's got a wine company. I was like, I can help with your wine company and whatnot, and just you can help me. I'll help you on Twitter. So I help breaking down her booth, and she gives me one of her limited edition posters, and she signs it for free. And she's like, oh, I'll let you know on Twitter and whatnot. And I was like, wow, I mean, she's such a class act. You go to these conventions, and some people just like in life, some people aren't what you want them to be because maybe they had a bad day that day, or maybe they're just a jerk. But I would say my experience with Kane and Al or Adrian, they were just class act people. Just the best people you'd want to be around.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that. She had her own wine company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. Very cool.
Yeah, awesome. And a lot of the names are like Friday the 13th inspired.
Yeah.
They're very witty, you know what I'm saying? And it's really cool that she's using her fan base to try to make witty wine so people can have a drink and maybe watch the movie and have fun.
Right. Very nice, man. Awesome. Well, moving on, something I wanted to ask to kind of get your opinion on all the remakes that are going on right now within the horror genre.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that, man? I mean, for me, let's just take Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 remake.
But go ahead.
And I've never been, someone to just say, I definitely didn't like it. And for me, I've always said I'm spoiled when it comes to Freddy with Robert, England.
Right.
I mean, no matter who plays Freddy, I don't care. I'm still, just as a child, the child in me, I guess, goes back to Robert England. And I'm not saying that there's nobody out there that can play Freddy if they take it serious. I'm not saying that. But just for me, with the 2010 remake, it was terrible. I couldn't dig it. But with all the remakes that are coming up and that are saying they're coming out, what's your thoughts, man?
Can I hit you with a question before I answer that?
Yeah.
Did you not? Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask you before we get on this tirade. Did you not like Jackie Earle Haley? Was his performance as Freddy the problem? Because for me, it was not the problem with it all.
I don't think it was his performance. I guess I think I was looking for the look of the old Freddy, and it was the new look. To me, it just didn't look nothing like Freddy, and which is fine. But when you're expecting, I guess as a Freddy fan, when you're expecting that, and then it comes out with a totally different kind of look altogether, I think that's what kind of just,
right.
I mean, his performance, I think, was okay. It still wasn't Robert with the comedian kind of part of it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I guess I kind of stand with it.
I mean,
if that makes sense.
I think. Yeah. I mean, to elaborate on it, because you obviously said we have as much time as we need, right?
Right.
To elaborate on the Elm Street remake, I mean, I think a lot of the problems with that movie is, if you were to take like let's start at the beginning of the movie. So you have the Tina character, right? Mm-hmm. You spend so much time with her in the remake. You don't do it really. They Craven sets up his story with Tina. Right? He sets it up. But I feel like the remake tries to make you feel like that's going to be the character, as if they're going to do a scream switch. Even though that Casey wasn't in the movie very long, but it's going to be she's going to be the main character, and then you get rid of her, and then you almost start from scratch 20 minutes into it. Yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, and they have some good ideas in the remake. The idea that maybe, and I love this idea, but the idea that maybe the kids were lying and they created the demon, they created Freddy, right? But then they do that, and then they fall back on no, that wasn't the way it is. Right. It's a studio node. The studio was like, we can't do that. No, that's not good. I mean, I love Jackie Earle Haley in the movie. I mean, I really don't think he's the problem at all. I think if you had a decent filmmaker and you had a decent script, and Jackie, he could have crushed that out. And I think he did a good job with what he did. But it's that's just a movie that is plagued by too many cooks in the kitchen, and you come out with a bland entree that nobody really wants to eat because it reminds them of so many different things. They'd rather go to that restaurant that specializes in it.
Right.
That's the problem. But to go back to your main question, I mean, I feel like we're getting away from the remake era. You know, that's the way that it was from 2001, 2002 to 2012. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously the Spiri remakes coming out. You know, there are other remakes coming out.
Right.
But I think you just have to understand the way studio systems work, and the way that they were popular then. They wanted to churn out every movie that's based on a property because you don't have to put as much advertising into it because it's an already established brand. So like let's say you said you got a girlfriend, right?
Right.
Now I'm not sure if she's super into I mean she seems like she's into horror, but let's say that she wasn't.
Right.
So you're like, hey babe, you know what I'm saying? There's the Friday Night movie out. I love Friday Night. I'll teach you about it. We'll watch the original movie, then we'll go see it together, right? There's ticket sales, and then we have to really advertise. And I think, you're going back from the 2000s, whenever it was like, studios like, oh, because you know how studios are. Mm-hmm. One movie gets big, and they're like, no, I mean, how many stories have you heard when, like, a movie hits big, and they have a script, or a movie in development, they're like, no, make it more like that, because it just made money. They're like, well, excuse me, like, that made money, but that's not really our project, right? But I think, I mean, if you look at it, I think like, Marcus Nispel's, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake's really good.
Yeah,
I think, John Carpenter's The Thing and David Cronenberg's The Fly are both remakes. I don't think John Carpenter's The Thing is not really a shot for shot or even conceptually a remake. It's more a remake of the short story. But regardless, there are some remakes that are good, but you have to take away from, like what I originally said about people caring. Like I care about journalism. Mm-hmm. There are gonna be people in the studio system that are gonna fall through the cracks. And those people are going to really care about their project, right? I think Greg Gillespie is the one that directed the Friday Night remake, which is absolutely one of the most underrated remakes of all time. One of the most underrated movies of all time.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It really is. I love that movie. I watch it all the time. I watched it the other day. Right. You know what I'm saying? I have a good time. And the original Friday Night is my all-time favorite vampire movie. Okay. So it's good to say, but I love that movie. And, for every 15 crap movies that are going to come out that are remakes, you're going to have one or two that are, super stellar, Yeah. And, I don't want to see a regurgitation, but if you want to take inspiration from the original movie and make it seem like that's the source material, that's the novel. That's the novel, if you will, right? I'm totally cool with that. Just do something different. Yeah. I don't want to keep rambling about it, but, Rob Zombie's Halloween, whenever he made the original print, whenever he wanted to show that to people, that's a completely different movie than what you see now. I've actually have for some serendipitous way, I have a burnt copy of that original cut. Nice. It's way different. The Weinsteins didn't get their hands on it. They wanted to make it more of a brute instead of a person, and that's what Rob Zombie was going for. So I just if that would have been released the way it was supposed to be released, then the Halloween remake, it would be a lot different. So.
Did you like the remake of the Halloween that Rob Zombie did?
Again, like I said, I mean, like the one that I have, I mean, like he doesn't kill Danny Trejo. The movie ends with that crane shot, with Michael dead, and you can hear because he just got killed by Loomis, and you can hear the audio of the first time that they had ever met. It has him as a kid, and if you're going to abandon a protagonist, which is what Rob Zombie did, I mean. Laurie Strode in that movie is a side character, without a doubt. It's a journey of looking at someone's past, the things that happened in somebody's past, and how that can inform their future, and how his family was really messed up, and how it made him into a killer. Now that's a completely different story than John Carpenter told. But if you're gonna tell it to its end. And I think Rob Zombie originally did that, but he didn't make the movie independently, and the Weinsteins had their cut or their say, and they cut a completely different movie. So. If you were to watch the one I got, or the one you can probably find somewhere, you know what I'm saying? I just so happened to be, I just lucked out. Right. Then yeah, I think that cut is really good. The one that you can find on DVD, it's not so good.
Right. Yeah. With going back to the remakes, I've said this before, and I'm sure you'll agree. With you being a Friday the 13th fan,
absolutely,
and me Nightmare on Elm Street, no matter how bad the remake's going to be. We're still going to pay to go see it. One.
Yeah.
And two, we're always going to want more, no matter what, And that's just something that we just have to deal with, that there could be crappy remakes, but whatever, we're still going to go see it, and we're still always wanting more, no matter what.
Yeah.
And and I would love to see, not really, I guess, a remake of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, but I would like to see a movie of, I guess, Freddy before he was the demon in our nightmares.
Right.
I think that would be cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think that because obviously that'd be selling a movie to me and you, And I'd like to preface this by saying that I do like Elm Street more than Friday the 13th. I'm a bigger fan of Elm Street. It just so happened to catch me on Scarefest, and they're doing a whole Friday the 13th rollout, and I'm a massive fan.
Right.
But it's kind of like I always get Friday the 13th to going to like an AC/DC concert. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not really worried about like the really good lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Or like how well, like the Beatles. The Beatles are John Carpenter's Halloween and some of the Elm Street movies,
right?
Because of how ingenious they are, or like how imaginative they are. But the Friday the 13th movies are just like, let's have a few drinks. Maybe smoke weed, if whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Right? Whatever you want to do.
Right.
Let's throw a beach ball around a stadium and have a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it goes back to their whole remake conversation. I mean, they're definitely going to prey on our love for the series, aren't they? Even in some of the, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks here. The Dream Child is a piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Hopkins, I think it's a well-directed movie. The script is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But they wanted to churn stuff out, just like, The Revenge of Michael Myers, the fifth movie, is a piece of crap.
Right.
Like the Myers house looks like a gothic castle.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, man, because I've always thought the same thing.
Right. Yeah. They put effort into this whatsoever. They were just like, hey, as long as it's got Halloween in the title and the music's there and Donald Pleasance is in it, right. Screw it. And I watched the documentary, God bless his soul, man. I love the guy, Mustafa Akkad, right?
Yeah.
He's passed, but he's been on record to say that, Halloween 5 didn't make a lot of money because they were competing with themselves, because Halloween 4 was on video. Exactly. Like, Halloween 4 was on video. I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
Because, if you were to let's say you watched Part 5 before Part 4, right? And it was a good movie, mm-hmm. you would want to go back.
Right.
This makes no sense, because how can you compete with yourself, because all those dollars are going into your pocket?
Definitely.
It doesn't make any sense. It just goes back to the whole, like, if you insult viewers' intelligence enough, they will abandon you. And it's ridiculous how that happens sometimes. And to go back to your point, without a doubt, man. I mean, even as much as I hate Dream Child, and it's a bad movie. It really is.
You dislike that one more than Part 2?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. I mean. Man, that's awesome, man. I love getting this conversation with you. Like, so I think that Lisa Wilcox, right?
Yeah.
Like, and Alice is like one of the best. I think she's one of the most underrated heroines of all time.
I definitely agree.
And if I was a Warren Buffett type millionaire in the '80s, mm-hmm. I would have given money to them to keep her on board for like Part 6, and to make her as strong as Nancy was. And I'll go ahead and say it on record. Obviously, this is going to come out, right? She means as much to me, or maybe just a little bit less, but seriously, in the contention of being next to Nancy, I love her. Her progression and the Dream Master, from little meek, beat down from her alcoholic father, her little meek character, to how strong she is at the end when she fights Freddy, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
definitely. Great, So, you have that in Part 5, but you also have a lot of unnecessary characters that are uninteresting. You have Dan gets killed off way too early, as if they couldn't pay him. I don't understand that at all. But to compare it to, I would give the fans of Part 2 the credit of saying that Freddy's pretty terrifying in the movie, and though he breaks the rules that Wes set, of appearing during the day, or not during the day, but during real life. You also have to think that maybe that's really Jesse, and you're not really seeing Jesse as he is. You know what I mean? Because he's supposed to be inside of him. So, that's a round robin. At least Freddy's Dead is fun.
Yeah.
At least you have fun with that. You have the cameos. You have, again, that feels like a Friday the 13th sequel.
Right.
At least it's trying to have a good time with itself. So that's a really, from Dream Child to Freddy's Revenge. That's an interesting debate, really. I think if somebody was to put to my neck, I think that probably I would say that I like Freddy's Revenge more.
That you're right. Okay.
Yeah,
I liked Freddy's Dead. I enjoyed that one also. My favorite is Dream Warriors.
No doubt.
Yeah,
That's right.
I definitely. I love that one. It's one of my favorites, and then of course the original, the very first.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dream Warriors is just it's up there. It's my all time. So, but like you said, Freddy's Dead was a lot of fun. I mean, you had Roseanne and I think Alice Cooper. You had all these actors in it. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has like a lot of sequels will expand on villain exposition, and they won't develop a new protagonist, which is what Dream Master did.
Right.
You know, at least in that movie, the protagonist was kind of tied to the exposition. You know what I mean? You know, kind of. I mean, not really kind of. It was explicit, but you know, and I mean, yeah, it's got its problems, but you're looking at the series. I mean, I would, as much as I love, you know, Jason Takes Manhattan, as much as I love, you know, Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween 6. I mean, I love those movies, but at least it tries to do something different, maybe. You know,
Right.
Yeah, maybe not ill-advised, but at least Freddy's having fun. I'm never gonna condone him being goofy instead of scary.
Right.
Yeah, at least it looks like Robert Englund's having fun too.
Oh yeah. Now I do ask this, or I try to ask this all of my guests on the show. What is your favorite of all time Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Oh, that's gotta be the first one.
First
all
one.
right. Without a doubt. Now, I mean, I do love. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I'd seen your or I heard it. I wasn't watching it. I was listening to it while I was at work. But I had heard your interview with Deandra. And I think you had said that Dream Warriors was your all-time favorite, right?
Right.
You're never gonna hear me like that's sequel royalty. You know what I'm saying? Like that is without a doubt. It's like it's on another level. But then again, also Wes Craven had involvement with that with the earlier drafts, you know, and I think Chuck Russell also respected what he had done before that and actually tried to carry that to its final conclusion.
Right.
Oh, but nothing beats the original. You know, in my opinion, you know, the movies that have themes, you know, and I think this is a big reason why the original resonates. You know, if you look at Halloween, the theme is, you know, we see it in the news all the time. You know, there's horror out there. Right. You know, you're never going to. I don't care how many charities you go to and how many things you organize and how much positivity you put in the world. Right? There's going to be your equal that's going to want to beat you down. So the theme of Halloween always to me is that, you know, no matter what you do, the horror is out there. You know, there's bad stuff out there, and that's still ringing true today with ISIS. I mean, I don't want to get politically. I'm just saying, like, with different things out there. But if you look at Elm Street, I mean, for my money, other than an ingenious story, you know what I'm saying, and you have really good, amazing performances, and you know, it's with the Room, you know, Tina's death is beyond. I mean, that is in the pantheon of horror, and it's arguably the best death of all time.
Oh yeah.
And wow, you know, you know, if you were to, you know, you look at the original movie, for my money, it was always about not letting the fear of being successful, or not letting the fear of life beat you down. So at the end of the movie, Nancy turns her back on Freddy, which is a personification of the fear that we all feel that we won't be successful, we're not good looking enough. You know what I'm saying? We're not this, we're not that. And whenever she decides, like, you know what, I'm not going to hear that anymore. You know, that is the moment that he's gone. And I always felt like that is the whole movie is an analogy for facing your fear and realizing that fear is not bigger than you and it never will be.
Ah, that's a very interesting point, man. I've never thought of it like that. It's very cool.
Right.
Awesome, man. Well, moving on. Now, with you being in journalism and you know, seeing a lot of the horror genre and stuff that's going on, there are a lot of movies, let's just say on Netflix within the horror, that a lot of people might not know about, never seen, heard about, or whatever. What are some, I guess, in your opinion, that people need to see or should see?
I'm glad you asked me this question, man. Right. Last year, man, I can never. It's Todd Strauss. Like, I can't remember exactly the way that you pronounce his name, but so you've heard the Final Girls? Now, I don't. You've seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Oh man, wow! Like, you have to see this movie. It's not on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been championing this movie ever since I've seen it. You know, I've seen the trailer, and kind of like the way I got into Breaking Bad. Like I wasn't, like, you know, I don't want to say the bandwagon, but like I started from the very first episode because when I heard the story, I was like, I've never even remotely heard that at all. That's insanity, right? So when I heard this story, I was like, man, I gotta check. I mean, it's only gonna cost me $7 to try. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'll spend a little bit of money on a ledge. So the story revolves around. What was her name? Man, what the protagonist's name? I believe it's Alex. Yeah. So her mom is an actor from, you know, back in the day. She was like in a Friday the 13th kind of movie, right?
Okay.
Right, called Camp Blood. And at the beginning of the movie, and I'm just going to set the story up. At the beginning of the movie, she dies in a car wreck, and then we skip like a couple years later, right? And Alex is, you know, she's failing in a class. She's got a best friend. Her best friend he's the head of the official fan club of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to watch the movie, right? There's a fire in the theater, and they cut into the screen. They go into the screen, and suddenly they're in the movie, right? And it's playing out exactly the way the movie is. This movie is fantastic. Anybody that really loves, you know, Friday the 13th movies, loves slasher movies from the 80s, loves movies that, you know, really well done. You can take the horror elements out of this movie, and it's still really well done about, you know what I'm saying, what it means to lose the love of a mother or a father, to lose a parent, you know what I mean? Right. It's a magnificent movie. I totally suggest everybody check it out. It's really great. You know, there's also Behind the Mask from 2004. Mm-hmm. You know, that's on Netflix. You should definitely check that out. You know, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That if you haven't seen that, you should check that out. And I'm trying to think of movies in the last couple of years.
Let me ask you this one: have you seen The Invitation?
Yeah.
I think it was 2015. It came out.
I don't think so.
I just watched it. It's on Netflix. I just watched it maybe 2 weeks ago, and I just fell in love with it. You know, a lot of people kind of gave it bad reviews. I was looking up on the internet saying how slow it was and stuff. But man, I freaking dug it.
Right.
And I mean, because I read a lot of true crime also, and one of the things, you know, with Charles Manson and all the killings and with Helter Skelter and all of that mess, I could see where they kind of brought that in to the film, a little bit of things, and even like the crazy girl within the film, her name was Sadie, which was Charles Manson's kind of right-hand woman that did all the killings for him, supposedly. So
yeah.
So I definitely I dug that one, man.
I'll check it out, man. So it's on Netflix right now?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's called The Invitation. Yeah, it's on Netflix. If it's not, it's on Hulu. But I seriously, I believe it's on Netflix. You know,
I don't. Harkening back to your point, like I don't want to go on a tirade, but you know, so many people are scared to give their own opinion about things. They think that a bunch of people say that it sucks, then they should just go on. Like they're scared to be on Facebook or whatever and be like, you know, I think that movie's good.
Right.
That's awesome that you love it, just you know, because the reviews aren't necessarily good.
Right.
Like, you know, like make no mistake or don't forget the fact that The Shining was nominated for 2 Razzies. The Thing made no money in the theater, and it was called a bomb. And Halloween was knocked by every reviewer, every critic except for the Rex Reed.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, I totally say, like, give confidence. If you like a movie, man, you get back and you stand, you give its praise, because nobody knows what's going to be a classic in 20 years.
Right. Yeah, definitely agree. Definitely agree, man. Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but with Rob Zombie's movies, which The Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpse, I loved. The Devil's Rejects is one of my favorites by him. You might disagree your opinion, but what's your opinion on his films and stuff, like the new one at 31? Have you know? I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh yeah, no, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
I went the fandom, and in fact, for some reason, I thought that the official release was going to be at the end of October, so I didn't write my review until I realized that it was already on VOD, and I was like, well, I need to get my review out. Right. But that's at a fandom event at the beginning of September. There was like a music video in front of it, and there was like an hour-long documentary. The documentary was so long, I left. I was like, I'm gonna find this on the DVD. I gotta go. But yeah, yeah, right. Like it's just right. I mean, right. But to go to Rob Zombie, he's such a polarizing figure, isn't he? You know what I'm saying? Some people want to like You know, I always love Rob Zombie the Rocker. You know,
Yeah.
without a doubt. I mean, like there isn't a song that I think he's ever come out with that I'm like, man, I banged to that. That's awesome, man. That's I love it. Right. But to go back to the filmmaker, I mean, I remember being 14, and you know the whole situation with the House of 1,000 Corpses, and I believe it was it Universal, like, you know, who had like commissioned, like they were making the movie first and they dropped it, and then Lionsgate picked it up. Yeah. You know, I'm pretty sure it was Universal. Now, whoever's watching this, don't quote me on it. And in fact, in the comments section, let me know if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that it was Universal. Now, he had made the movie at that, you know, with them, and you know, I was following. He was like, "Hold up, man, Rob Zombie, you know, down with the ditches. Like he's making his own horror movie. It's like a fan, except for the Rocker." You know, the movie came out, and you know, I like it, but I feel like the movie is. It's like I watched a lot of movies, so I'm going to regurgitate what. Like I'm going to echo the voices that I've seen, right? Yeah. Which, you know, I mean, I don't agree with it. There's a difference between honoring and mimicking, you know, and I think that movie's a more mimic than it is, you know, homage. Mm-hmm. But in the same sense, brother, man, Devil's Rejects is one of the best movies of all time. Oh, yeah. The movie is a masterpiece. And I do not use that word lightly, right? Mm-hmm. That movie is chilling. The fact that he's able to, and there's not a lot of movies that can do this, but there's the fact that he's able, just like The Clockwork Orange, the fact that he's able to make me feel sorry for people that are disgusting human beings. Right, yeah. That is the true mark of an artist. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he manipulates you to the point where you hate him for doing it, but you're glad he did it. Right. You know? And so I love that movie. And, you know, I like to go to his whole filmography real quick. You know, I think I've already discussed the whole Halloween situation. Yeah. With if the Weinsteins were able, or they were willing to let him, and even like release it on DVD. Man, I don't understand what we're talking about here. Like, you know, give him a cut on the disc. Like, if he were able to release his own vision of the original remake, then I think that would get more praise. Halloween 2 is a hunk of garbage. You know, I give him credit for doing the whole, like, the White Horse thing, maybe, but Dr. Loomis is written like crap. You don't like him at all. And if you lose Dr. Loomis, you lose everything in Halloween. Yeah. He's the moral. You know, and he was worried about book sales, and it just didn't work, man. Yeah. You know, and to go to Lords of Salem, like, I think that's one of his best movies, except for the last 15 minutes. Really? Like, yeah, I like that movie a lot, but like when she goes, like, and I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times, but I remember, I mean, I really like the movie, but the reason I haven't watched it more than 2 or 3 times is like when they go to, like, she passes out, or they kidnap her, and then she wakes up in that auditorium. Yeah. I don't know if, I don't want to get too graphic. Cut this out if it's going to be too graphic, but like the devil. Like the devil dick, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, dude, it's almost like he was making a movie that was going to speak directly to himself and people that maybe like him, and his manager stepped in and was like, "Hey, Rob, look, let me tell you something, okay? You're Rob Zombie, so hey, you need to make this really weird." Like, I don't get the ending of that movie. Yeah, man.
I totally agree, man.
You're the car. He was like, "Screw it, let's ruin it," right? But I mean, you know, but other than that, I mean, I think his wife is good in it. You know,
I don't mind watching Sherry. I mean, I can't complain about that within the movie.
What we're talking about is what we're talking about. No way.
Right. So, you know,
very attractive woman, no doubt.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, like you said, at the end, it totally lost me, and I think that's what ruined the whole thing for me. You know.
Yeah. You know, and you know, I saw 31. And you can come to the site, and I don't think I was proud of that review. You know, and I'll be straight up with you. It didn't do as much business as I'd like it to. You know, I hate to use the word business, but it didn't. Enough people didn't read it, and I think that was a good review. You know what I'm saying? Because I just you know, I'm more proud of some work than I am proud of others. I'm not going to say that everything I do is great. I was really good at that review. So if you guys are more inclined when you see this video, please come to 1428 Elm. You know, come find the 31 review, but. I mean, I like 31 a lot. I think it's also his strength and his weaknesses that show so much in that movie. You know, what I like about it, I mean, it's very Rob Zombie, you know, throughout. It's without the artistic, you know what I'm saying, nuances of The Devil's Rejects, but it's very gritty, and it's really good, and it's very plot driven. Like, it's very, this happens. There's not a lot of space for people talking about, like, well, you know, I guess my brother's not going to find me now, yada, yada, yada. It's very fast. You know what I'm saying? It keeps going. And, you know, I like that about it. It's one of his best directed movies. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay,
So,
all right, okay.
yeah.
So I'm not going to ruin anything, but like, it's one of the best. Yeah, yeah. I'm really good at reviewing movies without ruining anything, right? So like, it's one of its best directed movies. Like, if you like The Devil's Rejects, it'll freeze frame. It'll freeze frame on something. You know what I'm saying? How they do in The Devil's Rejects, or like the frame will come down and push the other frame out of frame. You know what I'm saying? He's very at home behind the camera, and I think a lot of how cheap it was made gave him a lot of freedom to do whatever he wanted.
Right.
But in the same sense, his wife has never been worse than she was in that movie, and I don't really talk about. I don't talk about. Yeah, she's horrible.
Wow.
Like I mean, like cringingly bad. The fact that it's almost like you could cut her out of the movie because like she's acting next to people that are doing a really good job, and you're like, oh, I see Sherry Moon Zombie, but I see the characters right here.
Right.
And that's something that I mean, like that's not something I would say about any other of her performances. And
Yeah, I was going to say that too, because I mean, like with The Devil's Rejects and her other stuff, you know, she does great in my opinion.
And,
I mean, even within the Halloween, besides I guess when it gets to the white horse and stuff for me, you know, but the first one he did, you know, with how she was, I thought she did pretty good.
Oh no, you know, if I was able to record every conversation I've ever had with somebody about the Halloween remakes, I've definitely said she's one of the best parts of the movie, and she's barely even in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the first one. Right. She's able to embody, and maybe actually, I mean, I'd heard, and I haven't done a lot of homework, but I heard that maybe she had stripped before. Okay. I'm not sure if that. Yeah. Okay. So maybe she has like an empathy for a stripper and someone just trying to make ends meet, and that informed her performance. But like, you know, her in the original Halloween, like you can feel that she doesn't really want to do this job, but she has no other option.
Right.
You know, like this is, you know, and she can tell that she's a good mom. You know, and she tries to do what she can. But even then, you know, I think performances that are decent will allow you to create backstories for them that may not be there. But the way that they did the performance, you're like, oh, she must have issues of her own. But man, yeah, in this movie, I don't know what's going on. I mean, to go back to what you were talking about, I mean, straight up, she's never been sexier. But without that, she's been doing Pilates or something. But without a doubt, her like she's just, I didn't believe. Like I didn't believe. I didn't at all. Right. You know, like I said, she's one of the best things about the Halloween remake. You know, Chinese, Japanese. I mean, she's amazing in Devil's Rejects. I think that I've always been the guy that's like, nah. I mean, nepotism doesn't exist in that. I mean, if she sucked, then Rob would tell her no.
All right.
I'd like to think that Rob cares enough about his art to be like, you know, maybe you should stick this one out, or let me work with you. But in this one, brother, I mean, like I could not stop thinking about her as the actress, without a doubt. I mean, as the person,
right?
The individual, not the character.
In your opinion, you know, you were talking about how, you know, I mean, she is a gorgeous woman.
Oh, without a doubt,
you know, I mean, and for me, you know, yeah, she looked great in The Devil's Rejects, but for me, with The Lords of Salem, I mean, she was hot in that movie. You know, I mean, just to be honest with you. But do you think maybe that's within 31? Maybe he just got to the point where he wanted to keep something sexy in the film, so he just, I mean, maybe that's why.
I mean, if you look at it though, I mean, so they live together. I mean, you live with your old lady, right?
Right.
Right. So I mean, like they're with each other every day, all day.
Right.
I mean, he didn't create this story without her.
Right.
I mean, they had to be having dinner, and she's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this story with these carnival workers," and they break down, and she's like, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Keep going with that." And yada, you know how relationships go, man. You with it. You know, exactly. So, I mean, I would like to think that Rob Zombie would like, you know, help her as a director, which is that's his job. You know, your job's not just to set up good shots. Your job's not only do the beats of the story. I mean, the director's job is super hard. Right. You know, you have to like manage the set day to day. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I've obviously never done it, but there's a lot of things that people don't realize. But also, one of those jobs are to like. I mean, I think so. If you're an actor's director, and I think every director should be, like to like talk to your actors and be like, you know, like you're not giving me what I need, but it's not about what I need. It's about what the film needs, you know. And to talk about like, you know, what is stopping you and this and that. It just feels like it's so unauthentic, man. Inauthentic. I'm sorry, so inauthentic, and you know, I think that ultimately it hinders this movie. Which, you know, I mean, you know, granted, like we keep bringing up, I mean, we're two healthy guys, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. She's good looking, but like ultimately, the performance is more important to the movie. Because I can go on Google and look at her all day. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
in the context of the film, I want to be taken to a world that I've never been to before. And if it's like a world that I've ever been to before, I want it to be the tightest, best world where, you know what I'm saying, I feel like suspense and I feel the horror and I feel like that. And her performance did not allow me to fall back into the story. It didn't.
All right. Well, I mean, of course, I'm still going to see it, and but in your opinion on the Morbid Files here, if you had to give it a scale 1 to 10, where would you place it? And and you might have put this in your thing on 1420, 1428, but on a scale 1 to 10, where would you put 31?
So, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, I'll go with 7, and I'll tell you what. Like, I'm a huge filmmaking head, and that's not saying that I love movies. I love filmmaking. You know what I mean? Like, some people might be like, that's one or the other. But as much as I love performance, I love direction. And I think, and I love tight scripts. And, he moves it very quickly, like I was saying, right? I'm not putting this back on. Right? And then he moves it very fast. And like I love his. I'll never not see a movie that he made because he made The Devil's Rejects. Mm-hmm. That's all there is to it. You know what I mean? Right. It's a mind blowing masterpiece. I cannot believe he made it. So like I'll always follow him, and there are shades in this movie that remind me of the Rob that I got in 2005. And it makes me. I mean, like that movie is just man. Like from head to toe.
Right.
That is, I mean, without a doubt. And I don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying? I'm always going to tell people how I feel, without a doubt. And I mean, like from beginning to end, I mean, like I can't cut anything out of that movie.
Right.
Everything is perfect in that film. You know what I'm saying? Like to the opening. You know what I'm saying? With Robert Ford, it's just man, it's just masterpiece. And I like to think that he's getting back to that at 31. And he moves his story really fast. Even though Sherry's not very good, Malcolm McDowell is really eating scenery up in the movie. And to go back to this, I'm surprised I haven't mentioned it yet. I'm sorry. Richard Brake as Doomhead is mind-blowing. And I wrote a piece about this, and I got some flack for it. But Rob Zombie had said, this is going to be one of the next big horror characters, right? One of the best big villains of horror. And I was like, man, that's really pretentious to say about your own film. But now that we're looking like a year later, and the movie's come out, I mean, I was wrong.
Right.
Like I mean, Richard Brake is amazing in that movie. He really is. Like
I've heard that too from other people.
Yeah, it's killing. Like he is. It's on a next level. Rob was right. I was wrong. I'll be if I could go to everybody's house that ever read that post, or knock on the door and shake their hand, and be like, you know what, I was wrong, man. Like straight up, because I mean, and I'm glad to be wrong. Because he kills it, man, and I hope that this is the beginning of a long friendship or a long partnership with them too, because he's killer, man.
Right. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Joey, where can people go to find out more information about you? And of course, 1428, where you write at.
Oh yeah. Cool. I mean, we're already done, man. It sucks, man. It was already.
I mean, we could go forever, man, but.
Yeah. I love to. I'm having a good time, man.
I definitely am, man.
Yeah, I can sit there and talk about horror movies all day. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had some questions set up for you. And you know what I'm saying? I know you're the interviewee, you're the interviewer, and I'm the interviewee. But man,
here's the thing, man. I mean, you're totally going to be welcomed on the show anytime. So I mean, you'll definitely, of course, be back.
Cool, man. I mean, I'm having a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And we've all, and I'll say this in front of everyone, that we've also talked about you coming on every now and then, being kind of a co-host. And man, I think that would be awesome. Because
all right, cool.
I mean, we could keep going on and on for hours, talking about this stuff. So, but for people that want to find out, where you post stuff and everything like that, they can just go 1428M.
Yeah. So, I appreciate you saying that. Like, I want to talk about this all day. Like you saying that you watch my videos and you can see how passionate I am.
Right.
I mean, I never feel more loud than when I'm talking about horror. I really do love it. I can get paid $1, I can get paid $1 million, and it'd be the same to me. I'd rather get paid enough to keep my lights on so I can do this full time.
Yeah.
You know, keep making videos, but I love it, man. But you know, come to our site at 1428elm.com. You can find up. You know, we have a few writers. You know, we have Jeremy Dick. We have William Chris, my good brother, my brother, really, my good buddy Billy. You know, we got Wade. We have a new writer. You know, we're a small outfit, but we're growing. We lose writers alive, but we keep the ones that are passionate. It's the only ones that we want to keep. Right. So you come to 28elm.com. We want you guys to comment on our post. I look at that stuff every single day, more than one time a day, and I love to interact with the fans. I mean, like I said, I love it. You can find us on Facebook at 1428elm. You can find us on Twitter at 1428_elm. You know, I run the Twitter. My co-editor Jeremy Dick runs our Facebook. He'll do that, but I also look at that as well, and I comment just as, you know, my own Facebook personal, right? So I run our Twitter 100%. You come to our Instagram, which it's being neglected, but we're working on that at 1428elm. And also, I had recently, like I said, started our YouTube page at 1428elm, and you can find all of our videos on there. We have multiple panels coming up. We're going to be covering Chicago Days of the Dead. We're going to be covering Louisville Fright Night. Louisville Fright Night's finally getting their stuff back together and they used to do a really good con, and now they feel like they're getting back to their glory. You know, I can't wait to find out what kind of guests they're going to have. Right. So you can come to our YouTube channel, you know, and comment on all of our posts. I run that personally myself. I see everybody's posts. I see everybody's likes and dislikes. And I welcome all you guys. You know, just come if you love talking about horror. If you love having that intimate experience with, you know, what I'm saying, someone else that loves horror, and you want to have a discussion, much like we're doing right now. Then come to the website, man, or come to the YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, and we'd love to have you.
Awesome, man. And I'll definitely leave some links in the descriptions below.
Awesome.
For you guys,
I really appreciate it.
Well, Joey, man, it seriously, man, it's been an honor having you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule and coming on, man.
A pleasure.
Heck yeah, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up until next time. And y'all know the deal. Until next time, stay safe.